Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. As you can see behind me, but you won't be able to see if you're listening on Spotify or anything, it's NWA Power Review Show time, which means one thing. I am joined by the NWA Queen, the NWA Ride or Die, Fiona Lochran. Good evening.
Good evening, my love. How are you?
Good, busy, but good.
Glad to hear it.
It's great stuff, and we're going to get straight in. NWA this week was called the Overman versus the Beastman. The reason for that was because EC3, the Overman, in the main event was defending the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against the Beastman, the 7-foot-tall Talos. Before all of that, the video package this week centered around EC3 Fee and Kobe Corino, the two champions that were defending their titles on the show.
Yeah. It set it up for what looked to be a good match, a good show ahead. Anyway, I love these opening packages.
They were great. I called this show a spectacular, and we'll get into more of that in a bit. Almost as normal now with the new. Certainly the last two episodes of Power, Joe Garley and Danny Deals run down your card at the start of the show, and Danny was at his brilliant best with some of his commentary again.
I love him when comes. I think he's great.
He's awesome. But we mentioned Kobe Corino, and he was first against Mo Jabari in what I would class as such a great technical wrestling match. It brought me back to like Kurt Hennig days.
You're never not going to have a good technical match with Kobe, to be honest with you. In terms of Mo, I don't know him, so this was my first kind of introduction to him. So he didn't disappoint. That's for sure.
He didn't. He was very impressive himself. Danny made a great point on commentary, but he was talking about Kobe didn't have his ref with him from Samhain, who should have done the dive off the top of the stage. But after a lot of technical stuff and some brilliant technical matches, Kobe does win and retain the belt with the DDT. Jabari walked away from the handshake, as your cat's tail gets in the picture. Walked away from the handshake. That's fine. No, what's all right. Walked away from the handshake. But I'd like to see more of Mo Jabari.
I would as well. I was quite impressed with him actually. I was impressed. I would very much like to see more. So hopefully, he may make another appearance or two over this season. We'll just wait and see.
I hope so. I hope he's on there more. We go backstage to Carl, who was not the backstage, it was the podium section. So Carl, and he was talking to Tiffany Nevis. What did she call herself now? Some princess, wasn't it?
I missed that. I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
It was late when you watched it. I have no excuse. It's tough, isn't it? So it was that. But anyway, she basically called out the women's roster in general. But more important, you've got she had the phrase "get it, got it, bueno," which made me hungry for Kinder. It's so good. But she's also got Ruthie J in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So a very interesting contest there. And speaking of interesting contests, brings us to another really impressive debut. This week, it was the Killer Bees against Pretty Empowered for the Women's Tag Team Championships. They got a great reaction, the Bees.
Yeah.
They were dominant in this match, really.
They were so good. So good. I really loved seeing them in action. They brought it to Pretty Empowered. They really did.
You can really tell that Jazz trains these two.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Really good match. And Pretty Empowered, let's just say, got away with one.
Yeah, they did. I think they were lucky. A little bit of outside assistance at the end of the match got Ella the win.
Yes, it was a big four.
It was Ella, wasn't it? Yeah, Ella got the pin, but that was a little bit of help from Kylie on the outskirts. Yeah, so I think they were lucky there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they were. It was a big forearm from Ella. Then she sort of put one of the Bees up against the ropes. She then rolled her. Then Ella grabbed the foot, which led to the pull up, and then she held on to Ella held on to Kylie to get the win. Free.
So sneaky, but not surprising from the Pretty Empowered girls, to be honest with you. I think they'll do whatever it takes to keep hold of those belts.
They will, but again, more Killer Bees. please.
Absolutely. I'm well up for some more of that. King bees, not
King
killer
bees.
bees.
Keep them tag team. Oh, they need to change their name. They need to change their name. Seriously.
I called them killer bees when I was talking to somebody this morning, and I was like, no, that's the wrong name.
He was talking about, you see, he's getting too much from me at this point. You're learning from me. Get it wrong. Then we had a bit of backstage with May. It was the blunt force trauma with Aaron Stevens, who was called out at CJ for a turkey gobbler match next week.
I have no words. Aaron is one of the best on the mics at the moment. I love listening to him, but I love the fact that there's still the whole wedding issue, the whole getting stood up at the altar thing is still an issue between him and me, and I love that interaction with the two of them on the camera. But yeah, turkey gobbler match with CJ.
Yeah, it's meant to be more grappling than anything else, but if whoever loses the match has to dress up as a turkey.
I so hope it's Aaron.
Thanksgiving episode next week, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be why. It will be Thanksgiving.
Welcome to the NWA, folks.
Welcome to the NWA at Thanksgiving. It will be the Thanksgiving episode next week, won't it?
It will be, yeah.
It will indeed. I was wondering why. Here we go. Right. You're shaking your head. You know what's coming next.
I know what's coming.
How to be a spectacular. They were doing auditions this week on NWA Power in 2 segments. It was the Spectaculars and Mr. Billy Corgan himself got involved.
It was. I love Rush. I think Rush is great. Rolando's growing on me, no pun intended, given that he's quite a small human being. But this, I just found this ridiculous and awkward, and just they could have given more time to matches instead.
They could have done. These segments did go quite some time, I have to agree. Now the first one was Mercurio, yeah. Mercurio, and everything he does was special, but he didn't quite make the grade on this. Now, the second one, everyone...
I'm excited about this one.
Everyone in wrestling will know, well, should know. He's a very good cosplayer, as they mentioned. It was Paul Burchill. Amazingly enough, ex-WWE was a pirate in
the pirate gimmick, yeah. Pirate gimmick, just called Burchill under this as well. So
yeah, cool.
He was looking great. I thought he was looking fab.
Not sure about the hip swivel though. I think I need to teach him a few things.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Still haven't seen that yet. And he done his, and they were doing it in they scored it, didn't they? It was like, and Burchill got quite a high marks, and 2 of them, I think Rolando, was it Rush that gave him the lowest score? I can't remember. It was a smaller one, no pun intended.
Rolando, yeah.
Rolando gave him the smaller one, but Billy and Rush gave him the big score. So that was part 1 of this. Now, there is a backstory to this. In next week, the new Spectaculars, which are called Spectaculars 1.0, will be taking on the Southern Six, obviously, in next week's Power. Big Mama, another debut, will go against Carly Page. Now, there's a bit of an interview about that later on, which we'll discuss, because she's going to outweigh Carly Page by about £100.
By quite a significant amount, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which is going to be interesting. And also next week, we've already covered off CJ and Aaron Stevens. God forbid what that's going to be. Anyway, let's get back to serious stuff. Troop and Koa.
Submission match.
Submission match. Very good. Lots of transitions in this. Very hard hitting match with these two, as you probably could expect from this. Really good ground and pound by Troop as well. A lot of
Not surprising.
Not surprising at all. By the way, our good friend Chris Silvio was with Troop. We can't forget Chris. He won't be happy if we didn't forget him. The finish was a big power bomb by Troop, and sort of in his version of the figure 4, and a quick tap by Koa to win.
A very quick tap by Koa, although I believe that Koa has some background in MMA and has a little bit of that kind of to his belt. So he did better than I thought he would. I genuinely thought Troop was going to destroy him within minutes.
No, he didn't. And it was a very hard-hitting contest. I like that. Where does Troop go from here?
I don't know. That's a good question, actually. I think I could see him potentially. Is he gone for the Has he gone for the national championship? Has he gone for that? Has he gone for the TV championship? I reckon a belt might be on the horizon for him, or at least a challenge for the belt might be on the horizon for him, particularly if Mr. Silvio has anything to do with it.
Yeah, we know what Silvio is like. We go backstage again with Carl. This time, sorry, with May. She was talking to Kylie. We mentioned about the £100 weight limit, but she was interrupted by Magic Inc., who was busy talking about the match with CJ next week. And their slogan is they're slicker than liquor, but twice as dangerous.
I quite like that, to be honest with you.
Pretty good. But they were just basically hyping up CJ's match with Aaron Stevens next week. God forbid. What?
The mind boggles, honestly.
I don't even know if I want to know with that. So obviously, just before that, they are taping at Robarts. The return to Robarts this weekend. They're going to do a lot more power tapings there. All the championships, I think, are going to be defended on the shows. EC3 and Jax. Oh, EC3, if he gets past Talos, which we'll get into in a minute, he will go against Jax Dane, so that'd be interesting. It could be a big counter if Talos got the victory this week.
Yeah, well and truly. We'll
get into that. Now we go back to the Spectaculars and Billy. Mr. Midas was...
Who?
I don't know.
Did they just pick him up off the street, or
look that way,
is he someone I'm supposed to know? He looked about 12.
I'll tell you who he reminded me of when you went to Buckle Up. Do you remember Nino?
Yeah,
Nino
a little bit. I can see that. But he did. He looked about 12. I'm like, put some clothes on. Sorry, and Mr. Midas, whoever you are, but
yeah, I didn't know you. Got a high score
He did.
And then Casey Rocks,
who we have seen a couple of times over the last few years in NWA.
Yeah,
normally on the receiving end of an absolute doing, to be honest with you.
Yes, he normally gets an absolute pasting. I think he was. Didn't they not take on Blunt Force Trauma or Knox and Murdoch
at some point? Yeah, but yeah. I've seen him in the ring a couple of times at NWA. So I mean, it was nice to see him on screen again. But yeah.
And I think is it not out of him and Birchall, or is it out of Midas and Birchall? I can't remember.
It's between Birchall and Midas. That's what they were. That's where they were scrapping over. They couldn't agree. So
couldn't agree. I figured it's not a contest, really. If you,
I've got nothing on this one. I'm sorry. They could have put another small match in, or they could have extended some of the matches by a good couple of minutes.
They could have done.
No offense to you, Rush, but that this segment just didn't really work for me.
They could have just put it into one segment, right? And then just had it. But anyway, we'll find out next week who the lucky winner of being a spectacular is. We move now to the main event of the evening, which was the Talos EC3 match. My God, the size difference. And EC3,
he's huge, isn't he?
My goodness, EC3 looked tiny.
Yeah, he did. He made EC3 look really small.
Very much, Talos was using that size and strength in this match, and it became very apparent that it was going to be very difficult. And interestingly, Daisy Kill wasn't there, at least to begin with. Mm-mm. That soon changed as the match wore on. Daisy Kill does get involved, but who comes out to save the day for EC3? Another than the Dane event himself, Jax Dane.
That was interesting.
It was.
That was really, really interesting. He took Daisy's head off. A couple of spectacular clotheslines to Daisy. He absolutely took Daisy's head off. Yeah, interesting that he came out to help EC3. There's obviously some sort of mind games going on there.
EC3 normally plays a better mind game.
Yeah, so I don't know. Jax will obviously he's got his match this weekend. Interesting, very interesting.
And Jax Dane does take on EC3 because EC3 won the match with the 1%er after Talos missed a big boot in the corner, dropped down to his knees, and he hit the 1%er with Talos on his knees, which pretty much was up to EC3's chest when he was on his knees. Really, the contrast of styles in the opening match towards the end, but I really enjoyed. I can't not say how good that match was with Jabari and Carino. I need to see a longer version of that with the same people.
And I hope we will. Kind of like I said, any match with Colby Carino in, it's going to be a good one. You know it is. I just think he's super talented, and I really, really enjoy watching him work. It's kind of made me want to go and do a wee search and have a wee look and see who Mojibari is and find out a little bit more about him, because I was really impressed with him. I hope that he's done enough to potentially have caught Billy's eye enough to say, do you know what, we'll bring you back.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see if that does actually happen or not. But I'm definitely going to go and have a wee YouTube search and see if I can find any more on him.
I'm definitely going to have a look at him. He was very talented as well, and I would like to see more of the same. But as we're wrapping up NWA Powerr, and as we always do, Fiona, what's going on in your world?
What's going on? So Friday night, I'm with Main Event Entertainment. They have a show on Friday in Netherhill. I'm off Saturday, Sunday. Then next Friday, it's Premier British Wrestling in Dumbarton, and then weather permitting, we have an outdoor show on Saturday night next week
in Scotland.
For a Christmas light switch on, which will be lovely in Kilwinning if the weather is good. I have spoken to the promoter. I will be wearing my Uggs and my North Face jacket. I will not be glamorous fee. I will be going for comfort and warm. And we really need to keep an eye on the weather. If there's even a remote chance it's going to rain, we'll not unfortunately be there, I don't think. Obviously, it's a safety concern for us if the weather's not good. But yeah, outside in the rain or outside in the cold in late November in Scotland for a show. That'll be a first.
That will be brilliant. And you're still a poster girl as well, aren't you?
I know, but that's not till February. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that another time. Well, we just come off the back of, quite possibly the best Ignite show ever at the weekend. Couple of injuries aside, we had two title changes, both in the same match. Not technically both in the same match, but we had G Money did beat Corey McRae, who unfortunately suffered an injury during the match for the Ignite Championship, but held the title for about 20 seconds because the winner of the breakout division, Mr. Adonis Payne, cashed in his shot.
Wow.
Took advantage of the injury to Corey and run in the side door whilst Gene Money was looking at the entranceway and smashed him with the trophy.
Gene. Poor Gene. I love Gene, but man, he has no luck.
Hit Gene with the Claymore kick and beat him in the center of the ring. So Adonis Payne ends the year Ignite champion. His match for February is yet to be determined. However, our turnbuckle champion, Smashing Mike, did retain his title. Unfortunately, it wasn't against Chris Ridgway, and the less said about that, the better. He did, however, face Will Cruz in a match that
love Will. He's a big lad.
He moved the ring.
He's a big lad, and he can shift for a big lad.
I was amazed about it. I was worried initially that the match just wouldn't work, but it was.
No, Will's incredible. I love watching Will work.
And a big thanks to Will for taking that.
He used to tag with Blake.
Oh, did he?
Him and Blake tagged together. I'm sure they did now. Blake might come and watch this and tell me I'm wrong, but he used to tag with another big lad called Blake. And the two of them as a tag team were phenomenal. So, yeah. I'm glad Will stepped up. That's cool.
Yeah, big thanks to Will for coming last minute. It was Hogan Andre style, that match, but with a bit more quickness, a lot more quickness, if you will. But Smashing Mike does retain. However, his match for February has already been confirmed in the fact that he will go one-on-one with the lyrical dragon himself, Mr. 0121, man like Doris. Nice. Mike's neck. Look, I don't think Shenley Rhodes can be prepared for the charisma in that match whatsoever. But nevertheless, Smashing Mike, man like Doris, February the 4th. Tickets are already nearly 50% gone because of how good the show was. CPF and Rebellion. When Ignite Wrestling puts that on YouTube, if you watch any match on YouTube, apart from NWA Powerr, of course, make sure you watch that tag team match. It tore the building apart. My lad Riley was so invested in that particular match. He was invested in all of it, really, but that particular match, he absolutely loved himself. But anyway, what are we doing? Well, I've got another podcast coming up very shortly with the part owner of UKPW. We're back with some more. Andy's got Brian Hebner tomorrow night. Unfortunately,
That'll be good.
I can't make that, as I think I'll be having a few sherbets with a supplier after work. So it's probably not wise me doing that podcast. And then we've also got obviously the review shows. And then on Monday, oh my God, I don't know if we're going to keep this one in. On Monday, the three of us, me, you, and Andy, will be interviewing the incomparable Eric Bischoff. And yes, you're going to have to be. You'll just spend the whole.
I'll just sit and smile.
We'll just fangirl him for the hour or so that we've got Eric for before he hits the road for a week or so. I think he's away for a week or two after that. So very good with that. We're going to be attending more shows. We're going to be announcing our 2024 class of sponsorships next year as well. I can't wait for that. I'll tell you for your fair things. So I say we're making a massive effort with those sponsorships this year. She may even get some big video package announcements. Who knows? We've also taken on Chris from Cupcake Photography. He's coming on to help do our.
Oh, that's exciting. I've seen a lot of his work, so that's cool.
So him and Rachel will be our photographers, and so we'll be putting our stuff up. But guys, I'm going to end it there because I'll rattle on for so long and it wouldn't be fair. This is all about NWA, which is another cracking show. They return to Robarts on Saturday. I think it's pretty much as near enough sellout as it's going to be on that. But me and Fee will be back to review next week's Powerr next week. But until then, everybody, if you want to be a spectacular, it may be too late, but I'm still going to work on my hip swivel. But until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, goodbye.